Welcome everybody. This webinar will be in English because there's also some English speaking people right now. I see that there are currently 30 people attending the webinar, so welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Next to me is my colleague, my partner, Maarten Verstraten. I am Michiel Verstraten. We are from YouLynq. We founded YouLynq almost 1 year ago now with the purpose to turn around the recruitment and consultancy sector with 180 degrees by helping freelancers and also consultancy companies with a high-tech business development via LinkedIn. Currently counting 30 freelancers and 10 consultancy companies, so still going strong. Today's webinar will be for freelancers, obviously for executives, sales managers, and consultancy companies, and of course all the other professionals that are using LinkedIn as a sales channel. About online selling, of course, we are focused mainly on LinkedIn. For B2B, LinkedIn is the biggest platform. But still LinkedIn is a person-to-person platform. So that's a little bit strange, maybe, because we connect with each other as professionals, as people, and after that you can do business in a later stage, which means that you have to build the relationship before you go into selling. And this is very important. Not everybody is doing this, but we can explain you a little bit right now how we would advise you to do that. About today's situation, a lot of people ask me every day, does it make sense to focus on business development at this moment, at this crisis? We see it's a hard time also for clients, but the main result is that we have a lot of competition, obviously. So there is still business going on, but we have to work 3, 4, 5 times as hard as we used to. So yes, business development is very important and even much more important than before. And therefore networking is essential. So there is basically 3 things that you should do, that we advise you to do. And the first thing is, of course, to spend some time on it. It's time consuming, but we have a little bit more time now, most of us. So I would advise you to make the time to spend on your LinkedIn profile, on your proposition, on your website, etc. And the second thing is to make sure to work continuously. So we all know that sometimes you are 1 week very ambitious and with a lot of new goals, but it's very important to continue doing that all the time for 12 months, for 24 months, but actually, of course, for the whole time that you are active in your business. And the third thing is to, and this is very important, to work structured. Have a plan, have a content calendar, keep track of your leads, because it's very important, of course, for your conversion to keep track of the leads, but also for your professional attitude toward your clients to do what you promised them to do. So that's much about it for the introduction. The agenda of today will be based on the SSI score. This is the social selling index that LinkedIn provides. We will show you after this webinar how you can find it on LinkedIn. And today we will try to explain a little bit on that basis what LinkedIn exactly means with that. The first one is your profile. The second one is your exposure. And the third one, of course, the networking via LinkedIn. So to start with your profile, as I said, LinkedIn is a person-to-person platform. So it's very important to realize that your personal profile is the landing page of most of your clients. And I always tell customers, like, you spend so much time in optimizing your website, but actually more of your clients will land on your profile. So it's really important to make sure that the profile is well done because this is actually the thing that will make the sale in the early stage, of course, of the connection. So Maarten, please explain us a little bit more about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile.
Yes, thank you, Michiel. So first of all, we're going to turn on my screen sharing. Can you see my screen?
Perfect, perfect.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through one of a person's LinkedIn profile and see what's good and see what we can do better and see what's important. So maybe we can start off by looking for someone's profile, maybe Michiel's profile.
Coincidence.
That's a coincidence. And we're just going to go from the top to the bottom. So first, what we see is his profile picture. For a profile picture, it's always important to make it sympathetic and professional. So you see here, Michiel's dressed up nice, but he's also smiling. So from this person-to-person approach, it's really important that a person that sees the profile picture will think, ah, that's a kind person. That's someone I want to do business with. And then we have the header. It's like totally up to you what kind of header you want. We chose to have a similar, the same header for everyone in our company. But even if you don't do that, you can make it white, or you can do something with it. You can put a picture that you like. It's just to put the little extra effort in it. Then we have here the title. For the title, it's always important to put your current position. So that people can see what you do, and your current mission. So for Michiel, it is development and advisory at YouLynq.me. It's pretty clear. And then helping next-gen freelancers and organizations building a network for life. It's a very short but catchy phrase. So then we see on the right here, we see the company and the school. Like, it's important to choose the right company. We'll go into that later, but when you upload your working experience, that you choose your company so that the logo of the company will be shown here. Also, the location is important because we put Amsterdam area, the Netherlands. So if you, for example, live in Haarlem and you put Haarlem, it's not a common found location in the LinkedIn search. So then if you put Amsterdam area, it's the most commonly used search around Amsterdam. So next up, we have here the about. See more. So the about is really important. It's your not your first, but your second little page where you put your information. So it's built up in a couple stages. And you see here, hi there, welcome to my LinkedIn profile. This already makes me really happy to see this because it's just really catchy. And then it says, 1 year ago, I founded YouLynq.me with the sole purpose to give you a network for life. All right, so this is like an introduction of what he actually does. It's complementary to his headline. And then he quickly tells about his activities. And then he has his personal sentence. My ambition in life is that today is always a little bit better than yesterday. So to make it a little bit personal, but make it short, you know what I mean? So that it's not too long. And then here I've developed myself in the fields of finance. So he shows his expertise. Make sure that this expertise is relevant as well for your target group. Because of course, if you the not relevant things you can just leave behind. I enjoyed working with, so here's all the companies that he worked with, which is also important to show. The amount of years that he has experienced, the different roles that he has done, and then also the different roles that he has done which are relevant to his situation right now. And then his main achievements, so a couple of achievements, and this one's always a little bit difficult for a lot of people. For example, take the second sentence here. P&L responsibility of 200K and building a team from scratch to 10 full-time employees at Avertim. So this is really, really short, exactly what he has done within Avertim. And then the technical highlights, which is also good to know for new people. Next up, there's the activity. We will go into that later. We will go into that last at the end of the profile. So here we have the work experience. This is always my favorite part. So with the work experience, you always see what your current position is first. So in your current position, you can just write down what you're currently doing. So let's see what Michael is doing right now. Currently giving a webinar about how to optimize your LinkedIn activity. Well, this is a funny example, but you know,
really up to date.
Really up to date. But like he could, for example, put a sentence in what he is doing right now for YouLynq.me, so that people straight away see what they can use him for. And then second, this is his past experience. So you see, this is all very structured. We always suggest to use bullet points, and the text you use has to be short and very concrete, so that when people scroll through your profile, they can just see boom, 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 all the different roles and different achievements that you have had in all the different companies.
And it's always nice, sorry to interrupt, it's always nice to use a hip bullet point, show that you are creative, that you take a little bit the extra step to make your profile nice, because I always think personally that the way you put your profile reflects also how you work and what is your personality, because if you're really structured in your profile, you might be really structured in your work as well. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. And then also a funny thing about the symbols that he uses, here you got the links, and it's also from YouLynq.me, so you can also play a little bit with that. So after the experience, you've got the education. It's like, yeah, it's all
clickable. That's very
clickable.
important.
Yeah, it's all clickable, and that's what I meant when you fill it in. You put the school and you click on the school, so that it's when you click on this one, you go to the school. And licenses and certifications, and then you've got the skills and endorsements. This is also important because with the skills and endorsements, you can also be found on LinkedIn. So, for example, if you're looking for a job, people that look for people that want a job, they can fill in the different skills that you need to have, and then you can find your profile like that. So you can use a maximum of 50. So you see, Michiel, he probably has made the 50 already, which is great. And then at the end of the profile, you see the recommendations. He's got 13. This is really important because people will always look at your recommendations. It's what other people say about you.
It's your proof.
Yeah, it's your proof. And the nice thing about the recommendations on LinkedIn is you can get recommendations from your clients, as you see here, because all the last ones are from our clients. But before that, you can get recommendations from your previous bosses or people that work for you as well.
It makes you really liable to have recommendations, because this is what other people, existing people on LinkedIn, say publicly about you.
Exactly. And then all the way at the bottom, we see the interests. So these are the things you can follow on LinkedIn. I'll show you this after the activity. At the My Network sector, you can choose all the different things to follow, and so that your timeline is full of interesting stuff. And that is important for the next part. So we're going back to the activity. So to build your network, there's a part of building relations over the messaging, but there's also the part that you can unconsciously come to your connections mind. For example, by liking stuff of them, or by liking other things, and they'll see you in their timeline. So you can also like, and you can also put a comment, which is always nice. Then we see next to all activity, there's the articles. So Michiel, he produced a lot of articles. this is what really important is that he really goes into the need of the his target group. So, and he's really how do you call it, Michiel?
Relevant.
Yeah, he's really relevant. So at this moment, with all the coronavirus and everything going on, it's very important for the marketing to do it right at this point. So you see here, Michiel was in conversation with Jelena about the marketing and how she is doing it right now. So you can really do all these different things. You can have interviews, but you can also write relevant articles about relevant things. So for us, it was, I only would connect with people I know. Is discrimination? Well, we're always trying to connect with people that we don't know. So this is how Michiel is turning that around.
Don't know yet.
Don't know yet. Yeah, so next to the articles, you can also do posts, of course, which is also nice. You can do different things. You can, for example, here, this week was a really good example. Sales and marketing group came by our office and they gave us a little Eastern present. So what you do is you write a nice text, you tag them, and you take a really nice picture. And this is just catchy, and it makes it's just really nice to promote other people as well. And other people will also see that we're promoting other people, which is all positive things.
And this was not a paid advertisement, just to be clear.
Just to be clear. All right.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Maarten, for the explanation about your profile and of course, the exposure and the behavior on LinkedIn. It's very important. We always recommend people to really spend time on the postings and on the involvement, interaction with other people. But of course, most importantly, keep doing it. So every week, every 2 weeks, every month, or maybe 2 times a week, but keep doing it because it will pay off. Next to that, what is as important, obviously, to do is the networking itself. Because having a marketing automation on LinkedIn is really nice in terms of postings and exposure. But it's still a little bit a passive way to wait for your clients. Most clients are not waiting for your posts. Most clients are too busy with the stuff they are doing. So you have to go and get them proactively. And this is why networking is so important. And as I said, LinkedIn is a person-to-person network platform. And so it's very important to invite the relevant people, ask them to connect and start a conversation. And of course, it's very important to not only or even not yet start with your acquisition immediately, but it's very important to start talking with them. Like, hey, seeing our background, I would really like to connect with you. And maybe even if somebody accepts, thank him for that and don't ask him anything yet. I will get a little bit more into detail about what kind of messages you can use a little bit later. But first, it's also important to focus on the target. How do you find your right target? Basically, if we talk about freelancers or consultancy companies, there are two types of job markets. Basically, you have the published projects, the ones which all the recruiters are hunting for, and the ones who have a lot of competition. But you also have the one that are filled in privately, filled in via the network. Hey, do you know a guy that I can call for this project? Oh, top. It's already arranged very fast. And this is what a lot of managers like to do. A lot of companies do it. And most of the nice opportunities are filled in like this. This is a network that you would like to get more involved with, of course, as a professional. So look for the hiring managers, look for the decision makers, look for owners of companies, and find your right target in this way. In LinkedIn, we know that targeting is a little bit difficult, so you have to put a lot of effort in it to find the right people, filter a lot, maybe use tools such as Sales Navigator. It's really useful, especially if you are looking for mid-sized companies, because you can filter on company headcount. But it's still very difficult to find the right people because the indexation of LinkedIn is not optimal. You can trick it a little bit and help LinkedIn a little bit with the indexation by using Boolean search. We all know this with between the brackets and the and or that you use on Google. You can use this on LinkedIn too. So in the search menu, you can add a manager or director and IT or ICT and security or privacy, for example. And then you will have a really specified search which contains the level of organization that you want to address, the sector, and also the expertise. And then obviously, if we go back to the messaging, Maarten will tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so as said already, it's really important in the messaging that you have a person-to-person conversation. You're just chatting. You're not selling, because once you receive a message from someone, you're just in a conversation. So what we do is we advise always to start off with a short message saying just in a quick sentence why you want to connect and that it could be good for the future. So this is your first opportunity to get in contact with another person. Then after that message, they will connect and they will probably not answer, because once you connect on a person and you see the message, it will go away. So on LinkedIn. So they will probably not answer. And then what we do is we send another message, maybe 4 hours later, and then saying, thank you for connecting. It's nice to have you in my network. Perhaps we can help each other in the future. And then what we do, we've had two opportunities to have an answer. But once this person replies, we just still stay like, we go like in a nice connecting way, and then we wait for maybe 4 weeks, and then after those 4 weeks we send a message, hey, maybe it's nice to talk further. And then we give a short pitch of what you do, but really short, and then you can maybe ask a question like, we're doing this and this and that, how did you arrange your financial services or whatever. And that's when they can reply to your question. And then if they still don't reply, maybe 2 weeks later you can just give them information, maybe send them an article you found this interesting, then ask another question, what do you think about this article? And this is how you make this personal connection. And then again, when the person wants to do something with you, he will see your profile, and on your profile he'll see what you can do for him.
Definitely. And then the most important thing of all is the follow-up. That's why I told earlier that you have to work in a structured way. And I always give the example to clients. Let's say you have 500 prospects. You can send them all one message. It will take you a couple of days to copy and paste a lot, but you can use some smart tools. I will tell you later on about it. But let's say you send 500 people a message. Maybe you will have 10, 20 meetings if you are lucky. And then compare it to if you send these same 500 people a message over a time of 12 months and then give them 6 times a message. Imagine what the number of meetings would be. Maybe it will be 60, 70, 80. So this shows actually how important it is to follow up on your connections, not only to make sure that you're not depending on luck, but also to stay top of mind. And as Maarten said before, to keep promises. For example, if somebody says, hey, today is not relevant, but you are really doing interesting stuff, please send me a message in 1 month. Then obviously it's very professional and it's very good for your conversion as well to send this message after 1 month. But how do you keep track of that? This is very important or very difficult, because you can have maybe 50 chats or maybe 100 chats per week if you're doing well. and then maybe 20 to 40 of these people you have to follow up next month, and next week as well, and the week after as well. So after a certain time you have hundreds of people to follow up. Well, it's very important to use smart tools like, for example, Trello or Slack or Pipedrive, or of course, obviously, Excel is a very, very good friend of most sales people. We built our own tool, which automates a lot, and that's very handy, of course, as well. For example, if you say, okay, I want to send this prospect a message in 2 months, I will put the send button right now, and it will send after 2 months automatically. In this way, you don't have to keep track, or you don't have to manually follow up. It will be followed up automatically. And of course, understand correctly, when I say working automated, it doesn't mean that a robot is doing everything, but it just means that everything is connected. For example, it's possible that you have LinkedIn linked to a tool, and your tool will link to an Excel file, which will give you all the CRM reports, which is also connected to your agenda, which is also connected to your mail. So to give a practical example, I am chatting with a prospect, and he's asking me to follow up after one month. For me, it's let me calculate 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks to pre-install his message, to send myself a to-do to monitor it, just to be sure, and also to put a meeting if it's necessarily in my agenda. So there are very smart ways to keep track of your follow-up, and please don't be scared of using innovative tools, because it's really important to follow up on your leads. You can do acquisition as much as you want, but as long as you don't follow up, your conversion rates will be low. Yeah. And if you start following up, your conversion rates will be really high, because it's simple math, as I just explained to you with the 500 number of 500 people.
Sorry to interrupt, Michiel, but just to be clear, like 75% of all the projects of our freelancers comes from follow-up.
Yeah, that's the numbers.
Maybe sometimes we even have to send a person 3 messages or 4 messages until he replies, but even then there can come out a project of that. So yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, I cannot say that enough. So let's look back. So we talked about optimizing your profile. If you want to have some tips and tricks, please look between my articles. I have an article in which you can follow 10 steps, which makes your profile amazing. We talk about branding and marketing. Of course, it's very important to realize that you have the possibility to go for the exposure, which means that you can share other people's articles and interact with them. You can also publish your own content, which of course generates more views and more interaction. And then the most important that you should never forget is start talking with your prospects and follow up on them. Then to close, what is really important, of course, that we just focused on LinkedIn right now. It's very nice to have marketing automation within LinkedIn. It's very important, and it generates a lot of conversion and business. But of course, it's very important also to do marketing automation with other platforms or with other tools. For example, you can send emails, you can use WhatsApp, you can use Facebook, you can use Instagram. There's all kinds of integration possible. So find out what could be relevant to reach your own target. And for that, it's really practical. It's really nice to have Excel exports, because you can use them and you can import them in other systems and retarget in this way. LinkedIn doesn't allow it at the moment to make the export with full phone numbers and email addresses and things like this, but we have some tricks. So let me know if you have any questions about that after. And then the key learnings of today are obviously to continue doing what you do. I mean, you can have good plans now. You have a little bit more time, and you start some nice improvements on your website, on your LinkedIn, on your posting. But please keep doing it. Keep doing it every week, every 2 weeks, every month. continuity is key, because building your brand and building relationship with clients is not done overnight. It's a long-term process. You cannot build a business in 6 months, in 1 year. You have to keep building for years and years. So branding and acquisition via LinkedIn is a long-term process. And the second key learning is, of course, know your clients. This is so important because you can talk to your clients, you can generate posts, you can do whatever you like, but you need to know what the challenges of your clients are to make sure you're relevant, you're talking about the right stuff, so that they will come back to you and see that, okay, this guy is really an expert in his field. I really have to connect with him because he can help me. And this is, of course, what you want to achieve. So thank you very much for joining. We are perfectly on time, and there is also time for questions. So please, there is a chat option to ask questions. So feel free to ask some questions to us, and we will wait for that and answer them right now. Thank you, Maarten, for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Michiel.
We are actually sitting next to each other. Waiting for the questions to come in. You know where we can see them? The chat.
Yeah. There's no questions.
That was a very, very clear presentation. Any questions from anyone? I cannot believe that. So we will wait 5 more minutes for some questions. And then we can close the webinar if there are no questions.
Maybe in the meantime I can show some nice extra tricks on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let's see.
Are we sure that the questions are working?
Yeah. So if you go to your own profile, you see on the top, you see your personal link. For a lot of people, when your name has already been used, the link will contain a lot of letters and numbers, which is makes it more difficult for other people to find you on, for example, Google. So if you go, click it a little bit quickly. If you go on View Profile here, and then on your right, go to Edit Public Profile and URL, and you can change your link. And this is a very important page as well, because here you can manage your profile's visibility. So what does that mean is when you turn this off, when people don't know you and they haven't been connected to you, they can't see anything of your profile. Or for example, you can turn off your profile picture, which is the most important thing to have on your profile to connect with people that you don't know.
I'm getting 4, 5, 6 WhatsApps right now that the questions are not working.
Oh.
So we are very sorry about that. 10 messages now.
Oh, I can see them now. I can see them.
Okay, perfect. We have found the questions.
Okay, follow up. Can you explain a bit more on that? Is this to keep top of mind even if the client has no assignment?
Yeah, definitely very important, even if the client has no assignment, because you want to keep top of mind. Maybe tomorrow or maybe the day after he can have an assignment, but it's not even that. It's really building the relationship. It's very important to think on the long term. Yeah. It's not only this one client that has no assignment. No, it's one client and maybe 100 clients like this that you would like to build a relationship with. Maybe they have an assignment in 6 months or 12 months or maybe in 3 years, but hopefully you are still in your profession in 3 years as well.
Yeah, and what you can do is you can just ask them a short question. How are you doing? And maybe they'll reply, I'm doing fine. How about you? What are you up to? And you can tell them, I'm working on this and this and this project. It makes you more reliable as well when you're already working on a project for when you get available again. so that they know that you have been working all the time.
Yeah, indeed. And a follow-up is not per se asking for an assignment. Don't do that, actually. What I would advise you to do is keep it really short and say, hey, last month we had a short chat. Shall we follow up again? And then you will see that people are so nice to each other, and people understand that you do that because LinkedIn is used for that. LinkedIn is used to connect for professional people to connect with each other. So it's very wise if you use it this way.
Yeah. So next question: how many messages a week to stay reliable?
A very good question as well. As I said, we are working for some consultancy companies because they want to drive business. Obviously, they send a little bit more. Then the maximum I would advise you to send per day is 60 invites per day. But for our freelancers, we take an average of 30 invites per day. So if you are going to do it manually, I would say like try to invite 10 to 20 to 30 people per day. If you will do this every day, you will see that at a certain moment you will have a steady amount of incoming messages, around about 15 to 20 responses as well, which are most of the time future opportunities, of course.
Thank you. And then Dan is saying, okay, where's the article about the tips for the profile? And I will send the link in the message right now. Next, can we get this recording? Roderick asks.
Yeah, of course, we will share that.
Follow up, we've had that one. Do you think that an article on your website would work less well as on LinkedIn itself?
Yeah, it really depends. If you have a lot of traffic on your website, then obviously it's very nice to use your website as a blog site. But most of the time, especially for freelancers, more traffic is on your profile. So publish the article separately on LinkedIn. What you can even do is mention that this article previously was published on your website, but really publish it again on LinkedIn. So don't share the article as a link, but copy paste all the content and create an article on LinkedIn itself. It will generate the most interaction.
All right, and Tobias is asking to tell more about automation software, and also Jonathan is asking any tips on automating follow-ups.
Yeah, it's a good question. We built our own tool via the G Suite. So we connected a lot of things via Zapier, and it's pretty complex. We used the knowledge of 2 or 3 product owners that we flew in a couple of times, a couple of months. There is a lot of software to automate the targeting, the invites, but this is only part of the work to be done, of course. So automating your follow-up is pretty technical. So please give me a call if I can give you information after that, after this answer still.
All right. How can you use groups when you want better profiling in LinkedIn?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can use groups. Basically, as also the SSI score of LinkedIn indicates, it's very good for your indexation of LinkedIn to be part of all the different elements of LinkedIn. So you can be part of groups, you can also follow hashtags, you can interact with posts, you can post regularly yourself, you can invite some people now and then, have some conversations. All these factors, LinkedIn makes an indexation and will say, like, at a certain point, okay, you are very active on LinkedIn. So when you post something, you will have more exposure as well. On the other hand, a little bit downside of LinkedIn is that you don't have one page in which you can pre-install all your preferences. It's a little bit everywhere and nothing, so that's not really clear. But you can find it and Google it and optimize your profile as much as possible as your behavior as well. And maybe we can share the SSI link as well later on in the chat.
I'll share it right now.
Perfect.
For consultancy companies, would you recommend all employees to be active on LinkedIn or just one or two? Good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's a tricky question as well, because of course I would advise you that all the consultants would be active. Normally we select to really to do the business development, we select the consultants with the best track record, because they have higher conversion, obviously. Normally, or most of the times, we see that is not even the discussion. Yes, you should promote the activity for everyone, but it's very hard to do that. We have seen that even if we give some manuals, if we send around all the same headers and all the same layouts of profiles, it's a challenge to let everyone do it. So this is a task of the communications department, I guess, to make sure that all the employees are actually doing what you say. And this is the biggest challenge. But yes, I would prefer all the profiles to be active and all the profiles to look professional, at least.
Yeah. All right. And Koen was saying, he was asking about the messages before, but he actually meant the posts on LinkedIn. How often to post?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we do is we post once a week because we don't want to post too often. And when you post too often, maybe your amount of views will be lower as well, because people will not like all your posts anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Also, you don't want to be competitor of your own posts. So I think if you post 2 times a day, then you already have this a little bit. Maybe you can post every day if you really want to push it. But indeed, you need to be original as well. So, for example, I did the In Conversation With series. I'm talking to freelancers, and I see that the first one has an incredible amount of views, the second one less, third one less, fourth one even less. So people get tired of you a little bit. So be new every time. Be creative and be fresh. That's also very important, especially when you post a lot.
Yes. All right. Have you seen anything changing during the current crisis? I see a lot of messages, but not very relevant. According to HubSpot, there's a lot of traffic, but engagement is dropping. From Tobias.
Yeah, that's true. I recognize that. There's a lot of chatting going on. Everybody has too much time.
Yeah.
But maybe there's less deals, which is for me an indicator to work 4 times as hard to get the same result. So keep doing what you do, and of course, it's also the case that all the CEOs and all the decision makers and all the partners are currently also at home and behind the computer, so you can reach them more easily than before. Indeed, there is a lot of irrelevant traffic. Indeed, there is less deals. But should you stop joining it? No. Work 4 times as hard, filter it as much as possible, and find the people that you think are relevant to connect with right now.
Yes, exactly. All right.
Planting the seeds.
Planting the seeds. Is it true that the best way to put a link in is in the first comments?
Yeah, that's actually an indexation of LinkedIn, because LinkedIn wants to keep all the traffic on its own website. So if you put an external website in your post, it's supposed to have less views. But also, I think you should think about the image that you want to share as well. So yes, maybe that is true. But what is even more true is that the relevance of your content and how your post looks like is even more important for your exposure. So if you go to my timeline, you see that during the Corona crisis, like 3 weeks ago, I shared an external article which was a little bit controversial, and people had a lot of opinions about that, and it went skyrocket still, even if it was an external link. So what I'm trying to say is, don't try to, don't show that you're trying to manipulate LinkedIn. Make sure your post is nice, that you have a nice preview, that the picture is nice, that the header is relevant, the content is relevant. Focus more on that than to try to trick the algorithm. I would advise.
Yes. Ivan has a tie of 69. What does that mean?
Yeah, 69 is fine. No, it's above average. You can see that as well. Still, I mean, it's an indicator. It's just an indication. For example, if you use a premium account and use Sales Navigator and you pay a certain amount of money per month, you already score a little bit higher on certain points. So what does 69 mean? I don't know. I have to see, because there are 4 indicators. So we should have a look more in detail about that, but it's not bad.
What are the advantages of a company page on LinkedIn? Edwin Visit. Well, Edwin, the advantages is you can put your information there, you can put your content there as well. But for what is also very important is the picture of your company page will be shown on your profile. Yeah, but regarding the post, maybe Michiel can say something about that.
No, it's true indeed. You should have a nice clickable company page. But originally, the companies were created so that people could indicate where they work. So people can be linked to each other via the employer. Now you see that more and more companies are using it as a platform. Obviously, if you're a well-known brand, it's very important, like an Instagram account or something like this, to keep it up to date. And to get the relevant information on there. To be honest, if you're a small consultancy company, your exposure from your personal profile will definitely be larger. So I always advise to use a healthy mix between company page and personal page to promote your company. But always keep in mind that posting things directly on your personal page will generate more interaction. But of course, it's nice to link as well to your company page, because you can put some general information there. So as I said, use a nice mix of the two.
Yeah. And of course, when people go to your company page, especially for smaller companies, like let's say for our company, when people go to our company page, they see that there's a lot of things going on. Even though there's less traction than on the personal profiles, they still see that we're organized on our
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And also you can use your private page a little bit more for things you like, things you find interesting. You can share some things. You can. It's like a personal profile. You can post more on that than on your company page. You should have a well-defined strategy, and people will see that, like, okay, there's a strategy in these postings, and it's a good impression you leave.
So Alina has got a couple questions. She's asking, how volatile is the market now? What will be different in 1 or 2 months? And do you have a post COVID-19 strategy?
Yeah, it's an obvious question. I heard it a lot. What is very important to realize is that the world is still turning and everything will continue. Of course, we will have a big crisis. As I said, business will continue, but there will be much more competition. So the labor market will switch. We have to work 4 times as hard as we did before to get the same results. Of course, the better people will survive more easily. What is very important is to adapt and fight. So make sure that you go digital, or you change your proposition in the way you think is best to be ready for the future. Because I mean, as I said, in terms of business, everything will continue spinning, and you have to make sure that you are among the people that win the race, let's say.
Yeah.
But it will be challenging. On the other hand, maybe if I can, it's interesting thing. I don't know what's going to happen, but I talked with some hiring managers last week, also with some freelancers 2 weeks ago, and they all said, like, hey, it's a crisis right now. It's a difficult situation. Freelancers get fired, employees get fired. We all have to fight and see what will happen. But don't sit still. And what we think is that after this crisis, we need to build up again. And then freelancers are the first one to get the jobs again, because they are flexible and they're plug and play. And this is very important, and maybe you can get some energy out of that. Meet your clients today to prepare that you can be hired in 2 months.
Yeah. So what you can also do then is give them a small analysis. Do already a little something for them so that they know what you are capable of and how they can use you. So that in 2 months, when they do have the budget, they can hire you.
Definitely. So one more question.
One more question. Erik van Buren says, use the quiet weeks to already write content for the coming months, I would say. Nice suggestion, Erik.
Thank you.
Tobias is asking, isn't that too pushy? Well, have you seen anything changing during the coming?
Yeah, in terms of being too pushy, obviously. Yeah, for the follow-up, obviously it's how they say it in French, c'est le ton qui fait la musique. Of course, use the nice words. I mean, be sympathetic. Say like, hey, just wanted to check in with you on our last conversation 2 months ago. How are you? Then you are not pushy. And maybe there one of 100 or maybe a little bit more will be not pleased with it. But this is happening in business development.
All right, thank you, Michiel. So
thank you all for joining. As I said, we are sitting next to each other, so that maybe it's nice to see the environment as well.
Yeah.
So speak to you soon. Just drop us a note or give us a call when you have any questions, and have an amazing night in the sun. Bye.
Yes. Bye bye.